Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the space station Unity, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. It was a peaceful Tuesday morning in 2157 when everything changed. For humanity, the communication console suddenly lit up with signals unlike anything Earth had ever received. "Captain, we're getting a transmission," said Lieutenant Kim from the communication station. His voice was shaky. "It is not from Earth." Sarah walked over quickly. For months, Earth's scientists had been testing their first, faster-than-light communication system. They had sent simple messages into space, hoping to contact other worlds. Now it seemed someone had answered. "Put it through," Sarah ordered. The main screen flickered and then showed something that made everyone on the bridge gasp. A tall crystalline being appeared on screen. Its body looked like it was made of blue glass, and its voice sounded like music mixed with metal. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the being said. "I am Ambassador Thurix of the Galactic Coalition. We have received your transmissions. It is time for Earth to join the greater galaxy." Sarah felt her heart racing, but she kept her voice steady. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of Earth's Unity Station. We welcome contact with your people." Thyrix nodded slowly. "That is good. However, first, contact is not a social visit. Your world must make a choice immediately. The galaxy is at war, and every species must pick a side." The ambassador explained the situation. 3 powerful groups had been fighting for hundreds of years across the galaxy. The Vorak Empire was a military force that conquered worlds and made them into warrior planets. The Zelani Consortium was a business group that turned entire species into workers and traders. The Kepler Union was made up of smart scientists and engineers who used advanced technology to control other worlds. Every new species must join one of these factions. Thyrix continued. "Those who refuse are eventually destroyed or enslaved. This is the way of the galaxy." Sarah listened carefully, taking notes. "What exactly are you asking us to do?" "Earth must choose," they said simply. "The Vorak Empire offers glory in battle and the chance to conquer new worlds. Your people would become great warriors. The Zelani Consortium offers wealth and trade routes across the galaxy. Your world would become rich beyond imagination. The Kepler Union offers knowledge and technology that could advance your civilization by thousands of years." The captain felt a cold feeling in her stomach. "And if we choose none of them?" His crystalline face showed something that might have been surprise. "That is not possible. All species must participate in the galactic war. It has been this way for centuries. To remain neutral is to invite destruction." After the transmission ended, Sarah immediately contacted Earth. Within hours she was speaking directly to President Maria Santos and the United Earth Council. The president was a calm woman who had helped in the last wars on Earth just 20 years earlier. "So they want us to pick a side in their war," President Santos said after hearing the full report. "What do we know about these factions?" Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's top expert on alien psychology, had been studying the transmission. "From what I can tell, all 3 groups are essentially forcing other species to fight their war for them. The Vorak turn people into soldiers, the Zelani turn them into workers, and the Kepler Union turns them into researchers. None of them seem to care what the other species actually want. Over the next few weeks, Representatives from all three factions visited Earth. The Vorax sent General Crocs, a huge creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and a tank. He spoke of honor in battle and the glory of conquest. Humans show promise as warriors. General Crocs growled during his meeting with the Earth Council. Your history shows you understand conflict. Join us and your children will become the greatest soldiers the galaxy has ever seen. The Zelani representative was Director Yenna, a smooth-talking being that changed colors as she spoke. She talked about wealth and prosperity. Your planet has resources we need. Director Yenna said, her skin shifting from green to gold. Join our consortium, and every human will live in luxury. We will build great cities on your world and give your people access to markets across the galaxy. The Kepler Union sent Professor Zeld, floating brain-like creature surrounded by mechanical arms. He offered knowledge and technology. Your species shows scientific potential, Professor Zeld said, his mechanical voice echoing in the council chamber. We can teach you to build ships that travel between stars in seconds, computers that think faster than any human mind, and weapons that can destroy entire solar systems. Each offer sounded amazing, but President Santos noticed something troubling when she asked what would happen to Earth's independence. All three representatives gave similar answers. Independence is a primitive concept. General Crocs had said, you will have the honor of serving the Empire. Your world will be much too valuable to manage itself. Director Yenna had explained, we will handle all major decisions for you. Individual planetary governance is inefficient. Professor Zeld had stated the Union will guide your development. The Earth Council debated for days. Some members thought they should join the Kepler Union for the technology. Others believed the Zelani offered the safest path. A few even considered the Vorak, thinking that military strength might protect Earth in the long run. But President Santos remembered the last great war on Earth. She had lost her brother in that conflict and had spent her entire political career working for peace. She stood before the council and spoke quietly but firmly. 20 years ago we nearly destroyed ourselves fighting each other, she said. We learned that war only brings more war. We built a peaceful world by refusing to let others drag us into their conflicts. Now these aliens want us to throw that away and fight their war instead. Dr. James Wheeler, Earth's top scientist, agreed. Every one of these factions is offering to make decisions for us. They're not asking for allies, they're looking for servants. Admiral Rebecca Torres, the head of Earth's small space defense force, had been studying the military reports. Their war has been going on for centuries. If we join any side, we'll be fighting forever. Our children will grow up as soldiers, workers, or researchers for alien masters. The vote was close but clear. Earth would remain neutral. When Ambassador Thix returned for Earth answer, President Santos delivered it personally. We thank all three factions for their offers, but Earth chooses none of them. Humanity will remain neutral and continue developing on our own. Theirs crystalline form seemed to flicker with shock. This is impossible. No species has ever refused to join the war. Then we'll be the first. President Santos replied calmly. You do not understand, Thix said, his musical voice becoming harsh. Neutrality is not an option. The war will eventually reach your sector. Without allies, you will be defenseless. President Santos stood straight and looked directly at the alien ambassador. Then we'll defend ourselves. Humanity has had enough of war. Fix was silent for a long moment, then he spoke slowly. I will report your decision to the factions, but I warn you, humans of Earth, the galaxy does not permit neutrality. You have made a dangerous choice. As Thyrex's ship left Earth's orbit, President Santos watched from her office window. She knew that their peaceful life was probably ending, but she also knew that some things were worth fighting for, and the right to choose their own path was one of them. Earth had spoken. Now they would have to live with the consequences. 5 years had passed since Earth rejected the alien factions, and humanity had used every day wisely. Dr. James Wheeler stood in his laboratory on Mars colony, watching his latest fusion engine test. The blue flame burned steadily in the vacuum chamber, producing more power than anything Earth had built before. The output is incredible, said his assistant, Dr. Park. This engine could power a ship to the nearest star in just 3 months. Wheeler nodded, but his mind was on other things. Earth wasn't just building faster ships, they were preparing for war, even though most people didn't realize it. Every new technology had two purposes: helping humanity grow and keeping humanity safe. Back on Earth, Dr. Yuki Tanaka was making her own breakthroughs. Her medical research had found ways to make humans stronger, faster, and able to heal more quickly. She told the public it was for colonists working in dangerous environments. She didn't mention that it would also help soldiers survive in battle. The new treatments are working perfectly, Dr. Tanaka reported to the Secret Defense Committee. Humans can now work in high gravity, survive in thin air, and recover from injuries twice as fast as before. Admiral Rebecca Torres listened to these reports in her office deep below Earth's surface. As head of the Space Defense Force, she knew the real situation. Earth was living on borrowed time. Show me the latest intelligence, she said to Captain Chen, who now worked as her intelligence chief. Sarah activated the holographic display. It showed a map of nearby space with red marks indicating battle zones. The war is getting worse. In the past year, 17 species have been completely enslaved. The Altarian Republic tried to stay neutral like us. The Vorik Empire wiped out half their population and turned the rest into soldiers. Torres studied the map grimly. The red zones were getting closer to Earth. What about the refugees? 3 ships this month, Sarah replied. We're following protocol. Medical aid supplies, then they move on to the outer colonies. But the stories they tell, the refugees had brought horrifying news. The war wasn't just about conquest anymore. The 3 factions were competing to see who could be most brutal. Entire planets were being strip-mined until they were lifeless rocks. Alien children were taken from their families and trained as soldiers before they could even walk. Some species had been genetically changed so much they couldn't survive without their masters. One refugee, a being called Sex from the Spiral Arm, had collapsed crying when he tried to describe what happened to his home world. They didn't just defeat us, he had whispered, they made us forget who we used to be. Torres had been using these intelligence reports to plan Earth's defense. The aliens built huge ships and fought in massive fleet battles. They expected their enemies to do the same, but humans had different ideas. How many mosquito fighters do we have ready? Tors asked. 4,000. Sarah replied. They're small, fast, and almost impossible to detect. Each one can carry enough firepower to damage capital ship and the Hornet missiles. 12,000 deployed across the asteroid belt. They look like space rocks until they activate. Tors smiled slightly. The aliens thought in terms of massive fleets and direct confrontation. Humans thought like wolves hunting much larger prey. They would strike from shadows, hit weak points, and disappear before the enemy could respond. Meanwhile, Earth's colonies were growing rapidly. Mars now had 2 million people. Europa had 500,000, and dozens of asteroid mines were fully operational. But these weren't just colonies. They were fortress bases, each one capable of defending itself and supporting Earth if needed. President Santos, now in her second term, was visiting the Europa colony when the next alien message arrived. She was touring the underground cities when Admiral Tors contacted her through secure communication. Ma'am, we've received another transmission from the Vorek Empire. They're not happy. Santos sighed. She had been expecting this. What do they want now, General? Croc says Earth has 72 hours to reconsider our position. They're calling our neutrality a dangerous example to other species. The president understood. Immediately, other worlds were starting to ask why they had to fight in the galactic war. If Earth could stay neutral, maybe they could too. The three factions were worried that their supply of forced allies might dry up. What's our official response going to be? Santos asked. The same as always, Tors replied. Polite but firm refusal. But privately, Tors was worried. Her spies throughout the galaxy had reported something disturbing. The three factions, who normally hated each other, had been having secret meetings. They were talking about the Earth problem and how to solve it. Dr. Elena Vasquez had been studying alien psychology for 5 years now, and she had learned something important about their enemies. They're not like humans, she explained to the Defense Committee. When we fight to win and then make peace. When they fight, fighting becomes their whole way of life. They can't imagine a world without war. This was why Earth's neutrality scared them so much. Humans had proven that peace was possible, that species didn't have to fight forever. If this idea spread, their entire civilization would collapse. Dr. Wheeler's team had been working on their most secret project in a hidden base inside the asteroid series. They called it the Shepherd Program. Artificial intelligence that could think like humans instead of like computers. Standard AI follows logical patterns, Wheeler explained to Tors during her secret visit. It's predictable, but human thinking includes intuition, creativity, and controlled chaos. Our AI can make decisions that seem random but are actually brilliant. How does that help us? Alien computer systems are designed to fight other alien computers. They use logic to predict and counter enemy moves, but they can't predict or counter something that thinks the way humans do. As the 5th year of Earth's independence ended, Tors received the intelligence report she had been dreading. All 3 factions were moving ships toward Earth sector, not to attack each other but to finally deal with the humans who refused to join their war. How long do we have? President Santos asked during the emergency meeting. 6 months, maybe less, Torres replied. They're still arguing about how to divide Earth's resources after they conquer us, but they've agreed that we have to be stopped. Santos looked around the room at Earth's leaders. These were good people who had spent years building a peaceful world. Now they were about to face the greatest test in human history. Are we ready? She asked. Torres stood up straight. We're as ready as we can be. Our technology is better than theirs. Many ways, our tactics are completely different from what they expect, and we have something they don't understand. What's that? We're fighting for our home. They're fighting for their masters. As the meeting ended, Santos walked to the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, massive alien fleets were preparing to enslave or destroy humanity. But Earth would not go quietly into the night. The price of peace, it seemed, was preparing for war, and humanity was finally ready to pay that price. The emergency session of the United Earth Council was unlike any in human history. President Santos sat at the head of the table, looking at the faces of Earth's leaders. They had just received the most horrifying message their species had ever heard. Ambassador Fakes appeared on the main screen, but he was not alone. Behind him stood representatives from all three galactic factions: General Crux of the Vorak Empire, Director Yena of the Zelani Consortium, and Professor Zeld of the Kepler Union. For the first time in centuries, the three enemies had united for a single purpose: humans of Earth. Fix began, his crystalline voice colder than space itself. The three great powers of the galaxy have reached an agreement regarding your world. Santos felt her blood turn to ice, but she kept her expression calm. We're listening. General Croc stepped forward, his massive form filling the screen. Your refusal to join the galactic war has become a problem. Other species are starting to believe that neutrality is possible. This cannot be allowed. Director Yena's skin shifted from gold to deep red as she spoke. You have 72 hours to choose a faction, any faction. This is your final chance. Professor Zeld's mechanical arms moved as he delivered the rest of the message. If you continue to refuse, corrective action will be taken. Your adults will be relocated to labor facilities on distant worlds. Your children will be removed and raised as soldiers, workers, or researchers, depending on which faction claims them. Santos felt the words hit her like physical blows. Around the table, she could see the same shock and horror on every face. They weren't just threatening to conquer Earth, they were threatening to take human children away from their families. You have made us do this, Thakes continued. Your example threatens the stability of the galactic order. Other species must see what happens to those who refuse to participate. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in terrible silence. Dr. Elena Vasquez was the first to speak, her voice shaking with rage. They're threatening our children. They're talking about taking babies and turning them into slaves. Defense Minister Robert Kim slammed his hand on the table. This is beyond warfare. This is genocide. Santos looked around the room. Some members looked terrified, others angry, but all of them looked determined. We need to consider our options carefully. The survival of our species depends on what we decide in the next 72 hours. The debate that followed was the most intense in Earth's history. Some council members argued for submission, pointing out that humanity couldn't possibly fight 3 galactic superpowers at once. Others insisted they should choose the least horrible faction and hope for the best. The Kepler Union might be our best choice, suggested Science Minister Dr. Anderson. At least they value intelligence. Our children might have better lives as researchers than as soldiers or laborers. There is no good choice here. Admiral Torres replied firmly, all 3 factions are talking about taking our children away from us. That's not negotiable. Dr. Vasquez had been studying the psychology of the alien message. I need to tell you something important, she said. This isn't just about controlling Earth. They chose the worst possible threat they could make. What do you mean? Santos asked. Taking children from their parents is something that every human culture considers the ultimate evil they could have. Threaten to destroy our cities, kill our leaders, or enslave our adults, but they specifically chose to threaten our children. They want us to be so terrified that we'll surrender immediately. Dr. Wheeler, who had been silent until now, spoke up. They made a mistake. They don't understand humans at all. Explain, Santos said. In their cultures, individuals serve the group. Absolutely, parents would give up their children if their leaders ordered it. They think we're the same way. They don't realize that threatening human children doesn't make us surrender. It makes us fight like cornered animals. Admiral Torres stood up and activated the tactical display. I've been preparing for this moment for 5 years. Yes, we can't win a conventional war against 3 galactic powers, but we don't fight conventional wars. The display showed Earth's defensive preparation, thousands of small, fast ships hidden throughout the solar system, weapon platforms disguised as asteroids, underground bases that could survive planetary bombardment, and most importantly, detailed intelligence about alien tactics and weaknesses. They're used to fighting each other, Torres explained. They use similar technologies and strategies, massive fleets, direct confrontation, overwhelming firepower. They've never fought humans. What makes us different? Asked President Santos. Everything, Torres replied. We evolved as pack hunters. We work together instinctively. We're persistence predators. We never give up once we start hunting, and most importantly, we fight differently when our families are threatened. Dr. Tanaka had been running calculations on her tablet. The biological enhancements we've developed could give our people significant advantages. Humans can now survive in conditions that would kill most aliens. We can work longer, think faster, and recover from injuries more quickly. What about the Shepherd AI program? Santos asked. Dr. Wheeler nodded. It's ready. Our computers can think in ways that alien systems can't predict or counter. We can hack their networks, turn their own weapons against them, and coordinate attacks across the entire solar system. As the debate continued, one thing became clear. Every single council member, even those who had argued for surrender, agreed on one point: they would not let aliens take human children. President Santos called for a vote, but she already knew the result. The vote was unanimous. She stood up and looked at Earth's leaders, people who had dedicated their lives to peace and cooperation. Now they were about to declare war against most of the galaxy. We need to send a response, Santos said. What should we tell them? Admiral Torres spoke for everyone in the Room, tell them they picked the wrong enemy. The message that Earth broadcast to the three factions was short and direct. President Santos delivered it, personally standing in front of the United Earth flag to the Vorik Empire, the Zelani Consortium, and the Kepler Union. You have threatened our children. This is humanity's line in the sand. We will not negotiate. We will not surrender. We will not allow you to take our young people and turn them into your slaves. If you want a war with humanity, you will get one, but remember, you started this fight. As the transmission ended, Santos turned to Admiral Torres. How long until they arrive? Our deep space sensors show their fleets are already moving. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Santos nodded and walked to the window. Outside, she could see people going about their daily lives, not yet knowing that their peaceful world was about to become a battlefield. But when they learned the truth, she knew exactly how they would react. Humanity had spent 5 years preparing for this moment without realizing it. Every colony built, every ship launched, every technological breakthrough had been part of getting ready for the day when they would have to fight for their children's freedom. The aliens thought they were dealing with just another species that could be bullied into submission. They were about to learn the difference between fighting soldiers who serve their leaders and fighting parents defending their children. Earth had made its choice. Now the galaxy would see what happened when someone threatened humanity's young. The alien fleet that arrived at Earth's solar system was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 300 massive warships from the three factions hung in space like metal mountains, their weapons capable of burning entire planets to ash. General Croc stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal War, watching Earth through the viewscreen. The small blue planet looked so peaceful, so helpless. This will be quick, he told his officers. One demonstration of our power and the humans will surrender. On the Zelani command ship, Prophet's Edge, Director Yena was already calculating how much money they could make from Earth resources. Such a rich world, she said, her skin shifting to a pleased golden color. The humans will make excellent workers once they're properly motivated, Professor Zeld observed from the Kepler Union vessel. Logic's triumph, his mechanical arms scanning the Earth system. Curious, I detect no large defensive fleets. Perhaps the humans have already accepted their fate. They were all wrong. Captain Sarah Chen sat in the cockpit of her fighter, the Defiant, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid near Jupiter. Around her, 3,000 other human pilots waited silently. They had been there for days, watching the alien fleet arrive, learning their patterns. Remember, Chen spoken to her communicator, we don't try to match their firepower. We're mosquitoes hunting elephants. Hit fast, hit hard, disappear. On Earth, Admiral Torres watched the alien fleet from her underground command center. The aliens had positioned themselves exactly where she had hoped they would, in a perfect formation for what humans called a turkey shoot. All stations, this is command. Torres spoke calmly into her microphone. The enemy has threatened our children. Show them what happens when someone makes that mistake. Execute. Operation Hornet's Nest. What happened next will be studied in militaries for centuries. The first surprise came from the asteroid belt. Thousands of objects that the aliens had dismissed as space rocks suddenly came alive. The Hornet Missiles disguised as asteroids for months activated their engines and swarmed toward the alien fleet. "Sir, we have incoming missiles," shouted a Vorhak officer, "thousands of them, General." Crocs wasn't worried. "Activate point defense systems. These primitives think they can hurt us with simple rockets." But the Hornets weren't simple rockets. As the alien defensive systems began shooting, the missiles suddenly changed course in ways that violated everything the aliens knew about physics. They moved like living things, dodging and weaving through defensive fire. Dr. Wheeler's breakthrough in fusion drives had made this possible. The Hornets could accelerate and turn so quickly that alien targeting computers couldn't track them. Worse, they were controlled by Shepard AI that thought like humans instead of like machines. The first wave of Hornets slammed into the alien fleet, targeting their weapons and engines. The massive alien ships were designed to fight other capital ships, not swarms of small intelligent missiles. "Impossible," Professor Zeld exclaimed as explosions bloomed across his fleet. "No missile can move like that." But the real attack was just beginning. Captain Chen led her fighters out of their hiding places throughout the solar system. The Mosquito fighters were tiny compared to the alien ships, but they were faster and more maneuverable than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "All fighters engaged," Chen ordered. "Remember your targets, communication arrays, sensor clusters and engines. Make them blind and deaf." The human fighters swarmed over the alien fleet like angry wasps. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but the fighters were enhanced with Dr. Tanaka's biotechnology. Human pilots could withstand G-forces that would kill most aliens, allowing them to make turns and accelerations that seemed impossible. Lieutenant Rodriguez pulled his fighter through a spiral that would have liquefied a Vorek pilot, then fired a particle beam directly into a dreadnought sensor array. "Target down. They can't see us coming from the port side." Aliens had never faced anything like this. Their massive guns couldn't track targets moving so fast and unpredictably. Their shields were designed to stop other capital ship weapons, not swarms of small craft attacking from every direction. But humanity's secret weapon wasn't just technology, it was psychology. Dr. Vasquez had spent years studying alien warfare, and she had discovered something crucial. Alien military thinking was rigid and hierarchical. When their commanders gave orders, subordinates followed them exactly, even if the situation changed. Human military thinking was different. Every pilot, every ship captain, every soldier was trained to adapt and improvise. When the situation changed, humans changed with it. "This is defiant," Captain Chen radioed to her squadron. "The enemy flagship is trying to retreat behind that moon. Wang, take your group and cut them off." Miller hit their engines before they can jump to hyperspace. The pilots immediately understood and adapted their attack. No alien commander could coordinate such complex maneuvers in real time because alien crews weren't trained to think for themselves. Meanwhile, Earth's most secret weapon was activating. The Shepard AI systems began infiltrating alien computer networks, using the chaos of battle to slip past their defenses. Shepard 1 is inside the Vorek network, reported Dr. Wheeler from his control center. Beginning data corruption and system takeover. The AI didn't just hack alien computers. It understood them in ways Their creators never intended, Shepard. AI could predict what alien systems would do because it understood the logical patterns they followed, then it could disrupt those patterns in ways that seemed random but were actually devastating. On General Crux's flagship, weapon systems began firing at their own ships. "What's happening?" he roared. "Sir, our computers are malfunctioning." His technical officer replied, "They think our own ships are enemies. Fix it." "We're trying, but the system keeps changing. It's like it's thinking for itself." Similar chaos was spreading through all three fleets. Zelani ships found their engines shutting down randomly. Kepler Union vessels had their sensors showing false targets everywhere. The aliens' greatest advantage, their superior technology, was turning against them, but the most devastating blow came from an unexpected source. On the bridge of Earth's flagship, Indomitable Admiral Torres received a message from deep space. "Admiral, this is Captain Foster on the Ranger. We've captured a Vorak communication ship. The prisoners are asking to surrender." Torres smiled grimly. "Patch me through to them." The alien communication officer appeared on screen, his reptilian features showing pure terror. "Please, human leader, we surrender. We didn't know. We thought you were just another weak species." "What didn't you know?" Torres asked. "We didn't know you were you. Our commanders told us humans were cowards who would surrender as soon as we arrived. They said you had no real weapons, no real defenses. They didn't tell us you fight like what? Like demons, like creatures from our worst nightmares. Your ships move like living things. Your weapons think. Your pilots do things that should kill them, but they just keep fighting." Torres leaned forward. "Listen carefully. Send this message to your fleets. Humanity is offering terms for surrender. Any ship that powers down its weapons and submits to boarding will be treated according to our laws of war. Any ship that continues fighting will be destroyed." Within hours, the tide of battle had completely turned. The three great galactic powers who had expected to crush Earth in a few hours were facing total defeat. Some alien ships tried to flee, but human forces had positioned themselves throughout the solar system. There was nowhere to run. Some tried to fight to the end, but human tactics made traditional space warfare impossible. The aliens couldn't adapt fast enough to counter humanity's fluid, creative approach to combat. Most chose surrender. By the end of the day, Earth's solar system was filled with disabled alien warships. The largest military force in galactic history had been defeated by a species they had considered primitive. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of her flagship looking at the tactical display. Green lights showed captured alien vessel. Red lights showed the few ships that had been destroyed when they refused to surrender. "Ma'am," Captain Chen reported from her fighter, "we're receiving surrender signals from the remaining ships. The alien commanders are requesting permission to speak with you." Torres nodded. "Tell them we'll talk, but first they need to understand something. They came here to take our children. That was their biggest mistake. There's nothing in this galaxy more dangerous than humans protecting their young." As word of the battle spread throughout the galaxy, something unprecedented began to happen. Species that had been enslaved for centuries started to whisper about the impossible. The day when someone finally stood up to the three great powers in one. Earth had done more than defend itself. It had shown the galaxy that the mighty could fall, that resistance was possible, and that sometimes the smallest fighter could bring down the largest enemy. The war was far from over, but everything had changed. Humanity had refused to join the conflict, and when forced to fight, they had fought in ways the galaxy had never seen. The aliens had picked the wrong enemy. Indeed, news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than any spaceship could travel. On 1,000 worlds, enslaved beings looked up at the stars and whispered the impossible word hope. Admiral Tor stood in the prisoner detention center on Luna Base, looking at the alien commanders who had come to destroy Earth. General Croc sat in his cell, staring at the floor. Director Yenna's skin had turned a dull gray color. Professor Zeld's mechanical arms hung motionless. They still can't believe what happened, said Captain Chen as she joined Tor's. According to their intelligence, we had no defenses, no real military, no chance of winning. Tor's nodded. They made the same mistake humans used to make. They looked at our peaceful nature and thought it meant we were weak. They didn't understand that the most dangerous humans are the ones protecting their families. But Earth's victory was just the beginning. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy, and everyone brought more shocking news. On Alaria Prime, the workers in the Zelani mining facilities had stopped working. They had heard that someone had actually defeated their masters in battle, and they wanted to know if freedom was really possible. In the Vorak training camps, young soldiers from conquered species were asking their instructors why they had to fight for the Empire when Earth had chosen not to. Even in the Kepler Union research stations, scientists were questioning whether they really needed to serve masters who had just been defeated by a species they called primitive. Dr. Elena Vasquez was studying the intelligence reports in her office when President Santos arrived for their daily briefing. It's spreading, Vasquez said, pointing to the galactic map. Rebellion, resistance, revolution. It's happening everywhere at once. Santos looked at the red dots, marking areas of unrest. There were hundreds of them scattered across the galaxy. What's causing it? Us. Vasquez replied simply, for centuries, every species believed that the three factions were unbeatable. They surrendered because they thought resistance was impossible. We proved them wrong. The most significant contact came 3 weeks after the battle. Earth's deep space sensors detected a small ship approaching under a flag of truce. The ship's design was unlike anything in the alien database. Captain Chen met the visitor at Unity Station. The being that stepped out of the airlock was beautiful and terrible at the same time, a creature of pure energy, contained within a crystalline shell that sparkled with its own light. I am Princess Kayla of the Centauri Commonwealth, the being said, her voice like singing crystals. I have come to speak with your leaders about an alliance. Within hours, Princess Kayla was sitting across from President Santos in the most secure conference room on Earth. The energy being explained her situation with desperate hope in her voice. My people have been fighting for independence for 40 years, she said. We've won some battles, but we've never had a real chance of victory until now. What's changed? Santos asked. You have. Your victory has inspired resistance movements across the galaxy. But more than that, you've shown us new ways to fight. Princess Kayla activated a holographic Display showing the Centauri system. We've been using traditional warfare. Ship against ship, army against army. We always lose because they have more ships and more soldiers, but your battle showed us something different, Admiral. Torres leaned forward. You want to learn our tactics? Yes, but more than that, we want to coordinate with you. There are 12 major resistance movements ready to strike, but we need someone to help us work together. Over the following weeks, Earth became the center of something unprecedented, a galaxy-wide rebellion against the three factions. Princess Kayla brought representatives from the Century Commonwealth, the Free Andromedans, the Spiral Arm Liberation Front, and 9 other resistance groups. They met in secret on a small asteroid base to plan the largest coordinated military action in galactic history. Dr. Wheeler demonstrated the Shepard AI system to the alien rebels, your enemies. Expect logical, predictable attacks, he explained, but this AI thinks like humans. It can coordinate complex operations across multiple star systems while adapting to changing conditions in real time. The aliens were amazed. Our computers can only follow pre-programmed instructions, said Commander Vex of the Andromedan Resistance. They can't improvise or adapt the way the system can. Admiral Torres presented what she called the Terran Doctrine, humanity's approach to asymmetrical warfare. Don't try to match their strength. Use your enemy's size against them. Hit their supply lines. Turn their technology against them and make them fight your war instead of their war. The rebellion began 6 months after Earth's victory. Coordinated strikes hit Vorex supply depots, Zelani trade routes, and Kepler Union research stations across 40 star systems simultaneously. But this wasn't just about military tactics. The rebels had learned humanity's most important lesson. They were fighting for their homes and families, not for conquest or glory. On Alteria Prime, the mining workers didn't just stop working. They took control of the facilities and began producing weapons for the rebellion instead of wealth for their masters. In the Vorhek Militarimies, young soldiers from conquered species turned their weapons on their instructors and declared their worlds free. The Kepler Union research stations found their own scientists joining the rebellion, using their knowledge to help the resistance instead of their oppressors. The three factions tried to respond, but they faced a problem they had never encountered before. For centuries, they had fought each other using similar tactics and technologies. Now they were fighting enemies who used completely different approaches, coordinated by human AI systems they couldn't understand or predict. Decisive battle came above Earth itself. Exactly 1 year after the first alien ultimatum, the three factions had gathered their remaining fleets for a final attack on the rebellion center. But when they arrived at Earth, they found something that shocked them to their core. The planet was defended not just by human ships, but by vessels from dozens of species, Century Energy fighters, Andromedan stealth cruisers, Alaran converted mining ships, and many others. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the indomitable, now flagship, of the Galactic Liberation Fleet. Around her, alien officers worked alongside humans, all of them united by a common cause. This is Admiral Torres of Earth. To all faction fleets, she broadcast on all frequencies: you are outnumbered, outgunned, and out of time. Your Enslaved worlds have risen against you. Your own people are joining the rebellion. This is your last chance to surrender. The response came from General Craw, who had somehow escaped from Luna Base and retaken command of a Vorak fleet. Humans, you have destroyed the Galactic Order. We will fight until our last ship is destroyed, so be it. Tors replied, the battle that followed was unlike any in galactic history. The Resistance fleet fought with human tactics but alien technologies, creating combinations that the faction fleets couldn't counter. Century energy weapons guided by human targeting, systems carved through Vorak armor like it was paper. Andromedan stealth ships, coordinated by Shepard AI, appeared and disappeared faster than alien sensors could track. Altarian mining ships, converted into carriers, launched swarms of human-designed fighters, but the most devastating weapon was something the factions had never faced before, an enemy that truly believed in what they were fighting for. The rebellion wasn't fighting for conquest or wealth or power. They were fighting for the right to choose their own future, to raise their children in freedom, to live without fear. Within hours, the faction fleets were in full retreat. The galactic war that had raged for centuries was finally ending. 3 months later, Ambassador Thix returned to Earth, but not as a representative of the factions. The crystalline being now spoke for a coalition of former faction worlds that wanted to negotiate peace. The 3 factions have agreed to a ceasefire. Thyrix announced to the United Earth Council. They request that Earth mediate a peace treaty. President Santos, now recognized as the leader of the Galactic Rebellion, stood before representatives from 50 different species attending via quantum communication. Peace was always possible, she said simply. You just had to want it more than you wanted to. When the Treaty of Terror was signed 6 months later, it dissolved the 3 factions and created the Galactic Cooperative, a democratic confederation where no single power could dominate others. Earth became the neutral capital of this new government, with humans serving as peacekeepers and mediators throughout the galaxy. Dr. Wheeler's final research log summed up the whole amazing story. The aliens said neutrality was impossible. They were wrong. What was impossible was staying neutral once they threatened our children. Humanity doesn't start fights, but we finish them. Years later, human ships bearing the emblem of the Galactic Cooperative could be seen throughout the galaxy, helping to maintain the peace that Earth's refusal to fight had ultimately created. And on every ship, in every human colony, in every school where human children learned about their history, there was a simple plaque with 5 words that reminded everyone what happened when someone made the mistake of threatening humanity's young. Never again. Thank you for watching, and comment for next part.